What's up, Infected? It's Wolf with the Quarantine, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game that was sent to me by AEG to review by the name of Thunderstone Quest. Now, Thunderstone is a game that has a box that'll give Gloomhaven a run for its money. Gloomhaven is bigger, but only just. But with Thunderstone Quest, it is a deck-building, abstract dungeon crawler. Basically, the way the game is going to work is you have two sides of the board. You have the city side, and then you have the dungeon side. And on the city side, you get a little pawn that represents you yourself, and you have a little deck that represents the adventurers in your party. And you're like a guild leader, basically, like the party leader. And then these are the people in your deck. These are your party members that you send into the dungeon. So you're going to send your little meeple, or in this case, your miniature, to one of the special spots in the dungeon, and that's where or in the city, and that's where you're going to buy cards, you're going to heal your group, you're going to upgrade, buy relics, you're going to upgrade your heroes, recruit new heroes, so on and so forth. Or you can put your piece over in the dungeon side instead, and that's when you're going to be using cards in the adventurers in your hand to be able to delve further and further into this dungeon to fight more and more monsters. Now, while fighting through the dungeon, you're going to be uncovering keys, and after you've uncovered a certain amount of these keys, then you're going to fight the final boss. Everybody gets one final turn to do as much damage to that boss as they possibly can, and then at the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points is going to be declared the winner. Now, the game also has a quest book that you can choose varying different types of dungeons that you can go in, and it's going to have different enemies, different items, different heroes, setups, however, or you can just play it totally random, shuffle everything together, use the randomizer decks, pull out cards, and just do a 100% random dungeon adventure, and that works just fine as well. So as I mentioned with Thunderstone Quest, it's really interesting where you have those basically two different boards. Even though you're going to set up the dungeon boards, they're all going to be different depending on what mission you're playing or if you do them random. The fact that you have to decide before you start playing any cards, you have to decide, okay, are you going to go into the dungeon or are you going to go to the city? And depending on the cards you have, you could maybe be able to go to the city, but then also attack stuff over in the wilderness, which are basically just they're rats. Every journey's every D&D adventure starts off with killing some rats in a basement. That's kind of a trope of the medieval fantasy style gameplay. But you could do that and upgrade your heroes that are in your deck for free to give them an actual class, because your starting little heroes, they don't do anything. So throughout the course of the game, you're going to be spending experience points, which is also victory points, to level up your heroes and give them specializations, whether it be rogue or mage, fighter, or cleric, I think it is. Those are the 4 different classes, and there's a bunch of different types of cards for each one of those classes. I haven't even played through all of the adventures or even used all of the adventurers or heroes that you can have, but I know just offhand there's like 9 for each class, so you can mix and match them however you choose. You're going to have wildly different games. So when you upgrade your heroes, it allows them to do better stuff, and then each hero can be equipped with a weapon. With 1 or 2 or 3 weapons, depending on their skill, you're allowed to give them more and more weapons. You can up those skills with different cards. It's a really cool system, but if you look at your hand and there's just not stuff you want, or maybe you've taken too much damage, because your damage is a little track on your player board which dictates your maximum hand size that you're going to draw up to at the end of your turn. So you may want to go back to the village. So you say, I'm going to the village. You put your pawn or your little miniature over to the city side, and you're going to heal 1 point of damage, or 2 if you decide to put your miniature on the temple space. but then that limits some of the other special actions you could do. But then you're always going to be able to build, you're always going to be able to do certain things that are in the city. So it's got so much going on. I did not expect it to feel as dungeon crawly as it did, because it's very abstract, but you have to have light to be able to venture further and further into the dungeon, and generating 3 light to get to the bottom part of the dungeon sometimes is a lot harder than you think. Maybe last round you got 1, so you go into the first area, you kick some butt, and then you're like, all right, next turn I'm going to go into the third part of the dungeon. I'm going to skip the second part entirely, but you don't get the light that you need, so you're stuck there. And it's really interesting. And then there's also, like, if you move over an area, you say you skip one of the level 2 areas, you don't have to, you ignore it because it's a big dungeon. Unless there's a little symbol, it means you have to deal with whatever's in that card, and it'll have certain text like anybody goes over this has to take a wound, or has to get rid of a token, or something like that. But overall, the game is phenomenal. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I highly recommend this game. Now, I've never played the original Thunderstone. I've heard a lot about it, and I actually almost bought it at one point in time. I'm wanting to say I was watching a review for it a long time ago, back when I first got into board games, and it sounded really cool. And there was around the time when I started realizing that I really enjoyed deck builders as well. But this one takes that deck building aspect, and it really improves upon it, really, because not only are you adding cards to your deck, you're also upgrading certain cards. So like, again, the heroes, you have these little crappy adventurers that are garbage. And maybe I upgrade this one to be a rogue. And then maybe my next one I upgrade to be a mage. So now this one can wield spells, this one can wield, magical items and stuff. So I send them in, but then maybe I really need a cleric to help me heal wounds. So I upgrade one of those, or maybe I just recruit one. You don't even have to upgrade your adventurers. So that's another really cool mechanism. But then on top of that, the upgrades are also very limited. So if I have a level 1, say a level 1 rogue, and I can upgrade them if I can pay the experience. I can upgrade them to a level 2. So I'd search through the deck, pull out the level 2. Same thing going from level 2 to level 3. But that's where it gets interesting with more player counts, or more players specifically. There are only 2 level 3s. So only 2 total rogues are going to be able to make it to level 3, and those level 3 cards can be really good. So there's just so much going on. But it does have its share of problems. The biggest one is, as usual, it's a deck builder, so some people who don't like cards in general, because there's going to be a luck element, are not going to like it. And then, of course, deck builders sometimes do have the problem of, if you're starting to fall behind, you're gonna keep falling behind, because my engine is built better than your engine is, and the more experienced player is generally gonna have a leg up on the people who aren't quite as familiar with deck builders or the game specifically. One other issue that I kind of had with the game is the final boss. So the way the game works is you're going to be going through these dungeons, you're going to be uncovering these keys, and once so many keys have been uncovered, then you're going to flip over the rats card, flip it over, boom, there's your boss. And it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different bosses, and there's variants of each boss as well. So if you are playing a specific quest, you can shuffle up just those 3 bosses, pull one out. They're all going to be a little bit different, so you don't know 100% what to expect. So that's pretty cool. But the problem is, the bosses are chumps. Granted, we've only fought 2 of them, but they're not really that strong. A lot of the enemies that you fight are a lot stronger than these bosses. But I guess, given the point of the boss, when the boss comes out, everybody draws some cards, and then you get one last turn to just do as much damage as you possibly can to the boss. And then for every so many points you do of damage, you're going to get that many points. If I'm not mistaken, it's half of the damage, round down or round up, I don't remember, but you're going to get that many points. And that's interesting, that's cool, because it still rewards me just being able to wallop the boss. But it also feels kind of anticlimactic that that's the boss. Like, I was hoping for like a big back and forth fight of some kind. But I mean, I guess given the circumstances, there's only so much you could do. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot wrong with the game. If you like deck builders, this one's definitely fantastic. It does have, of course, also a setup time problem, which most deck builders have. And you got to go through, figure out what cards you're going to use, whether it's random or whether it's from the campaign book. You got to go through, set everything out, set everything up. It does. Deck builders tend to be pretty expensive on the setup and teardown, and this one's no exception. But the artwork is fantastic. It requires a little bit different thinking than a normal deck builder, because a normal deck builder, you can see all the cards that are out with you, which this you can as well, but with a normal deck builder, you're adding cards to your deck and you're getting rid of old cards. This one, you're adding cards to your deck and you're making some cards better instead. So you can actually make your deck really friggin' good, not adding a whole lot of cards to it, just by upgrading the ones you already have, which again is fantastic. And there's lots of variety of weapons, armors, spells, items, heroes. There's so much crap to this game. It's ridiculous. I don't think I will ever get to be able to play everything in this box. It is just nuts. My last little caveat here, the way I recommend to play this, which in my opinion is a lot more fun, is totally random, because it comes with these randomizer decks. It's got every card in the game that is totally random. You take the deck and say you decide, because you always play with 2 weapons, 2 spells, and then there's 4 any. We usually do 3 weapons, 3 spells, 2 items. So we'll take that randomizer deck, give it a good shuffle, flip over 3 cards. Those are the weapons we use. Take the spells, shuffle them up, flip over 3 spells. Those are the spells we use. 2 items, those are the items we use. And we do the same thing with the heroes. You just basically shuffle them up, flip over one, okay, that's a rogue. Rogue goes here, shuffle over. If we flip another one, that's another rogue. Okay, put it back, shuffle it again, because we already got a rogue. And you do that. And you could also flip all the tiles over, the dungeon tiles, shuffle all the ones together, slap out 2. And I feel that way it makes it just, that way you don't have to go through the quest book and set it all up according to that. And that makes it a little more tedious, but it also comes with storyline segments. So you can actually play through all the different quests. You can play through them in order, and they actually tell a story, which is also really cool. One final note that I do want to leave on is with the game having a quest mode to it, as far as I was able to tell through this, I would like to have seen some kind of persistence. If you're going to give me a campaign, I want some kind of persistence. Something that I can, if I won this game, I want to carry something from this game to this game. Let me, maybe, I don't know how you would do it, but let me carry something. Give me something to give persistence if I'm gonna be playing some kind of a campaign. But yeah, that's my review for Thunderstone Quest. Phenomenal game. Highly, highly recommended. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.